Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Josi podcast. I'm your leadership and mindset coach and host of this pod. But today I have an extra special episode for you because I'm not only joined by one powerhouse, but two at the same time. So Lisa and Becs are both fellow business owners who have joined forces to create the Ignite Your Spark podcast, which I recently had the honor to come on as a guest myself. So I'm even more excited to turn the tables and have you here now, ladies. So huge welcome to both of you.
No, thank you.
So the one question I ask everyone on here is how they got to where they are today. And of course, I'd love to ask you the same. So can you just share what inspired you to start your own businesses and how you also eventually then obviously crossed paths?
So I'll start. Mine was probably around about the time of the pandemic. And at the time I was working for an airline. And obviously during that time, I wasn't sure if I was going to have a career to go back to. And it really got me thinking of what is it I want to do with my life? And it was a very strange time, wasn't it? Because we were surrounded by constant bad news and the world was coming to an end. It was really horrific. And I think that was the time that really pivoted where I was at that time and where I wanted to be. So I kind of got into health coaching. That was my first point of call. And I then moved on to fitness instructing. And then I obviously went all in with mindset. The reason why I went in with mindset was because I was fascinated with my own, in the sense of I always questioned how I got to where I am today and how did I do it. And it's really funny because when I kind of delved into mindset more, a lot of it was because of my past trauma, if you like, and what I went through as a child and growing up and all of these beliefs that I held. And I think when I started a business, it kind of shone a light on all of that. And I was in this place of holy shit, this is not an easy ride.
Yes.
I've got to do things outside of my comfort zone, but I had so many beliefs about myself. And I think that's why I literally went all in on mindset to understand my own, but then obviously went on to help others. And that's where I kind of got with my story today.
Amazing.
And then for me, so similar time frame. So for me, it was, the start of 2022. I'll take you back to my mind at that moment in time. It was not a good place. I was for so long. So basically I'd been in the corporate world for about 10 years, and I kept getting promotions, working my way up, taking on more responsibilities. And I always thought if I just get to that next level, that will bring me fulfillment and joy. And it never did. If anything, it got worse. And then, the start of 2022, I got to this point where I was just starting to come to terms with the fact that maybe I will never have that. Maybe I've got my head in the clouds and I'm foolish to think that I'm made for more. And then I was on holiday with my partner and I was saying this to him. It was just spewing out of me, kind of things that I'd been holding up inside and not allowing myself to feel for the longest time. And then I said, I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I need to change my current path because I'm not happy here. And I've been here for 10 years and that's it now. It's clear this isn't the path for me. I need to try something else. And then the next day, I received a DM from someone on Instagram saying, have you heard of being a virtual assistant? Which is divine timing as far as I'm concerned. And I had no idea what virtual assistant was. I had never heard of it. Obviously, I could kind of work it out from a PA. And then I replied to her, sounds great. I'm on holiday right now. I'm not looking into it. But me being me, looked into it. So I think it was within 2 days I had signed up to a course to train how to be a virtual assistant. Within 3 weeks I've launched my business. Within 10 days I had my first client, and it just kept growing and growing from there. And it had everything I had been desperately looking for. I think a huge part of it for me is that I was control of my own life and my own progression, which was the first time. I had always been very assertive and very in control of my path in the corporate world. But like I say, you're always under someone. There's always someone you're reporting to. If you want to change something in the business that you don't think is serving the customers the right way, you have to go through 10 people to sign it off first. And I just had no autonomy. Whereas with my business, because I was in control, it was just milestone after milestone after milestone. I left my corporate career after 6 months and then expanded to an agency after 2 months after that. And it just keeps growing and growing. And then it was the point that in January, so I left my corporate job in December of 2022. In January of 2023, then I had a discovery call with a lovely person called Becs. And from that very first call, like we got on like a house on fire. And then we just, because for me, on my self-development journey throughout my life, I had never really connected with someone who was on the same wavelength as me. I just had never felt that connection. A few people here and there, but there was never that consistent. So when I met someone like Bex, it just felt so good to have that connection with someone. And I think it was after like 6 months, and then again, we just kept like, I would work with her, she would work with me. Like we just kept like being drawn to each other. And then after we had a call together one day, I was driving. I had like an hour and a half drive, which is when I do my best thinking. And I was on the drive and I was like, I feel great. I feel great because I've just been talking to Bex and we get on so well. And like our vibrations are so high because we are the same energy, like we have the same interests. And I sent her a voice note and I was like, I'm just sending this to hold myself accountable because if I don't do it now, I won't do it. But let's do a podcast. Let's make this safe space and beautiful community for other people to feel how we feel when we finish talking with people. And that is where the podcast started.
I love that so much. And I also love how you both dived into like the topic of limiting beliefs. Both of you faced like from a different perspective almost, right? Like Lisa, you just said you felt foolish, for example. And Bex, you didn't mention an example, but do you have like an example of a specific belief from the beginning of your journey where you felt like you had to really work through? And the other question I also have, you hear it like so often, right? Like new level, same devil, or new devil. So what is your perspective on that? I'm curious.
Gosh, right. So my perspective on that, I guess, is I think by doing this work and really leaning into the fear, and I know they say feel the fear and do it anyway, but it is really allowing yourself to be okay with failing. And I always say I don't like the word failing because I always believe you learn the lessons and it's only feedback. But if you accept that that is going to be part of the journey and that is one of the missing pieces that you need to get you to that next level, I think it's allowing yourself to lean into that, and then you will get the results that you truly desire. And it is so true because I've been in business for 2 years now and I am literally 6 weeks away. Can we just, hi.
Yes.
6 weeks away from leaving my job. And although I'm at that next level that I wanted to be a year ago, I know I have got so much more to grow into. So you do have these mindset wobbles, even as a business owner, even if you've done the work every day, even as a mindset coach. Like people think because you do mindset that you've got your shit together constantly, and it's not the case. You've got to do the work because we have got many, many, many beliefs, that we hold on to from our past, our childhood. And when you ask for a specific example, I've always grown up like believing that I was never good enough.
Same.
And literally all of the time, and never knowing enough. And who was I to create a business and help other people? And, I've always like played small. I've always put myself down. But I think it's because when I look back at the people I used to surround myself with, they wasn't really growing, they wasn't going anywhere. So I was obviously staying on their frequency. And I think, again, a lot of it was connected to my past childhood and personal story, which I really won't go into on here, but
That's okay.
My personal story and how it absolutely defined me to where I am today, I think.
I can relate like so much to that, especially around the part with like not feeling good enough. I feel like actually almost every client of mine, they all have this limiting belief of not feeling good enough. And it always comes back to kind of like their upbringing, as does any limiting belief, right? It's always kind of like happening mostly in the priming period as well, up to the age of like 7. But what I find fascinating is how it can hold us back in so many different ways. It might be some people are like, they would never go for like a job they feel like they're not good enough for because they don't fulfill 100% of the requirements. Like there's one part missing and they don't go for it. Other people are like, I can't start that business because who am I to do that? Or others are like, I could never write a book. Like this is impossible for me. Only special people who have loads of knowledge can write that. It's so fascinating how it kind of like affects us in so many different ways. And I also want to know how did it maybe help for you to join forces in your podcast as well? Because obviously there's a saying, right? Teamwork makes the dream work. Do you feel like that helped you together also in overcoming maybe that even more because you had this partner in crime?
Do you know what? Lisa's the backbone of our podcast. I would not be doing what I'm doing today if I didn't have Lisa in my life. And I say this all of the time, and I am super, super grateful for her, because she hasn't just given me the confidence, but she's the most supportive business partner that I've got in my life. She's consistently breathing belief into us. She's just incredible. And I honestly don't think I would be leaving my corporate job if I didn't have you, Lisa.
Oh,
I love that
mainly
so
because
much.
I shit on the corporate world so much. I'm like, you're too good for that place. I'm not having it. I'm not having them bring you down. You're made for more. But yeah, like I say, just to meet someone else who's on the same wavelength was such a good feeling. But to have that person that it's so interesting, the balance of our relationship. There's always times that maybe I'm having a dip or Bex is having a dip, and the other one can hold space for that person. And it's so nice to have a business partner. Obviously we all build our businesses on our own. We've all done so well with them, and that's great. But to have that person that just gets it in your life is so nice. And then to talk through the fears when you're going to that next level. For me, up until that drive, I never, ever, ever thought that I would have a podcast. My partner literally mentioned to me 6 months before, you should have a podcast. I was like, no, never going to do it. But then you find the right person in the right moment, in the right timing, and it happens. And whereas I know for Bex that she had it on her vision board. So it all comes down to, timing and the right person. And then as we go to the next stages and growing our podcasts, it's got to be fun. You've got to enjoy what you're doing in the moment, and we have so much fun with it. We're less than a year in, and the people that we've had exposure to is just such a blessing. And to do it with my best friend is just the most amazing feeling.
Oh my gosh, I love the love between the two. That is just amazing. What do you feel like was maybe the funniest moment, or the episode that's still stuck in your mind to this day?
So for me, it was the first time we recorded.
Good one. Yeah.
Honest to God, I think and we do, don't we? We build things up in our mind, right? And the situation just is. We're the ones that give meaning to it and make it mean something by the way we feel, the way we think. And I'll never forget, I was where was we? It was in London, wasn't it? Where we were Tooting Beck. It was quite a mission from where I live. I am with my little rucksack. And I'm tracking through London, off the tube. I've got my laptop in there, and I found this little quiet cafe. I was waiting for Lisa to get off the train, and it was the first time I was actually going to meet her in person, because we've obviously done a lot of Zoom calls and things.
No way.
Yeah, so I was sat there, and obviously I journal quite a lot, and I like to capture moments and things, and I'm writing away, and the nerves inside of me, it wasn't so much of meeting Lisa, because I felt very comfortable with her anyway. It was more along the lines of, oh my God, we're going to be recording, and what if I get all my words mixed up? See, there you go. What if I get sure. That is one thing I've had to really work through. And I just never forget when we just went to hit record, it was right, no, you go first. I just couldn't do it. So I think that bit, but it was because where we were in the studio, there was a really lovely guy that was helping us do all of the recording, and bless him, he was sat there, and I bet he's thinking, what are these two on about? I kept saying to him, did that sound all right? Did it make sense? And obviously it's things like manifestation and all of this stuff. He's yeah, it sounds great. I think that was one of the moments for me. What about you, Lisa?
Yeah, just expand on that first, that literally the first 10 seconds of our first episode, we must have had to psych ourselves up for about 20 minutes beforehand. We were like, how do you start a podcast? Bearing in mind, all Bex and I do all day long is listen to podcasts. So we know how to start a podcast. But in that moment, it was like, you do it. No, you do it. And it was like a bunch of kids. But the second we broke through that, the second we started, it just flowed, and we recorded like 4 episodes that day. It was great. For me, it's actually something quite recent. So recently we have recorded an episode about my story and an episode about Beck's story. And for me, I love it because obviously I've got to know Beck so well over the past, 18 months at this point. And I've heard little snippets of her story throughout. And like I say on her episode, that it just makes me fall in love with her, like what she's been through and where she is now, especially because like we all know each other as our current version. So to then go back and be like, wow, you've been through it, like you've done the damn work, like wow. I love that our audience got to see that side of Bex as well. Like, I think it's like you said at the beginning of the episode, or maybe before we recorded, like, I find so much value in sharing people's stories. Like, it's great seeing the success that we all have now, but you have to know everything that led up to that point to understand that, yeah, wherever the listeners are in their current journey, maybe they can resonate with something, and then it spurs them to keep going, because we all have those moments where doubt kicks in, limiting beliefs kick in. You think, am I doing the right thing? Am I, like I say, am I foolish for thinking loads is possible for me? So to share those episodes with our audience and for them to get an insight to the people behind the podcast, I just found really valuable. And again, like, I've heard the snippets of Beck's life throughout the past 18 months. To hear it all in the space of like 45 minutes, like, wow, like it's so funny. Like, I haven't been there for any of those stages in Beck's life, but I'm so proud of her for overcoming so many things and where she is today.
I love that. Is that episode already out or not yet?
They are. Yeah.
Okay, I need to listen to it.
Yeah.
What I also just was thinking about whilst you were speaking is that it is really important to share those stories, because so often people just think it's like all an overnight success. Like suddenly you're kind of like famous, or you hit like a certain level and people think like, oh, you've done it overnight. But that's not true. It's always like decades of like or lifelong process of really working through all of those different stages, those beliefs, whatever habits it is, building new routines. It's making all of those changes every single day that got you to that point. It's not just like, cool, I switched the switch and now I'm successful. That's not how it works. And to really have these stories just sheds a light on, no, we all have a backstory. Like, we didn't just happen to be here all of a sudden. It's just like, okay, we worked to get here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're the same at this point.
mutual agreement.
Mutual agreement. There you go.
Is there like, do you have like any pet peeves in business where you're like, oh, maybe I should change that? Or is it more like something that you're not necessarily proud of maybe in doing? If we bring back a bit more human also like into business owners.
That's a really good question. I think for me, especially, I mean, I'm a lot better than I used to be, but at the very beginning, I really suffered with imposter syndrome, like massively. And the amount of time I wasted recording a story, posting it, deleting it, recording a story, posting it, deleting it. Like, it was ridiculous. And then I used to have this internal chatter in my mind of being like, what are you even doing? Like, people are going to think you're stupid. Like, all of these different things, where I don't do that anymore. I just become very natural in what I'm doing and what I'm saying. And I've kind of got to the point where not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to relate to you. Not everybody's going to resonate with you. And I think that is important for success, because if every single person is going to relate in and resonate in, who the hell's your audience? Who are you speaking to? Who are you trying to help? So I think that was one of my pet peeves, personally. But what about you, Lisa? I'm quite intrigued to find out what yours are.
So, yeah, my journey was a little bit different. Now I'm starting to understand from other online business owners. So for me, because I was so clear on the goal and the vision when I first found the virtual assistant opportunity, I was laser focused from the offset. I was like, the goal is I want to leave my corporate job. I want to be doing my own thing. This is the first opportunity I've ever been given in my life. I'm going to make this happen. And because I was so laser focused for those first like 6 months, there was, don't get me wrong, there was doubt, there was fear. Like, if I read my journal out from that time, like, it was definitely all happening. But I just was like, no, I was so I was in such faith during that period of time that I was like, there's no way I have been given this opportunity for no reason. There's no chance. This opportunity that literally is, I was born to be a virtual assistant. My skill set is that. But naturally, what happens at a certain point is that I got to experience what everyone else experienced at the start, but I was just a year in. So yeah, it's all of those things of just, my God, our minds beat us up. That what, like, and like we say, I've done the work. I've done so much of the work. I've done it in every capacity, the mindset work, like through energy healing, all of these different modalities. I know what works for me. And yet there are times when your brain needs you to slow down and digest what you have just experienced before you can go to the next level. And I think that past Lisa, my toxic trait was that I'm a problem solver, I'm very solution based, I'm next level, next level, next level, next level. But then I'm not appreciating the steps in the journey. And I'm also, like, it's really important to digest what you've gone through, because if you don't now, you will 2, 6, 12 months down the line. So it's that reminder, which I know a lot of entrepreneurs need, that sometimes you need to slow down. That doesn't mean you're stopping. Yeah. That doesn't mean you're stopping. That just means that you're caring for yourself. It's like, if Becs, if sometimes when I see her and she's going for it, she's doing so much and all of this stuff, I'm like, babe, calm down. Like, it's all coming. And it goes back to that, like, don't chase, attract. And that has by far been the most successful business model since I've started. By far. Whenever I'm just like, okay, I surrender, I let it go, the right people will come to me. You know what? They always do. They always do.
They really do. I can relate so much to both. How do you say it? There you go, mixing up words, right? What both of you have said. I was smiling because thanks what you said, like with the imposter syndrome and like re-recording the stories, right? I was remembering back in school, sometimes when I used to have to like write an essay, with like the fancy like fountain pen and stuff, I would literally rewrite the whole thing if I had to change a word. I don't know how you say that in English. If you like delete, not delete, but you like rub it out or something, then you have to write it again, because I didn't like how it looked when I rewrote it with the other pen. So I would literally rewrite the whole page, because I was like so upset. Now it needs to be perfect, like 100% perfect. So yeah, for me, I really had to like let go of this kind of weird perfectionism that I also had, like from like never feeling like good enough. So I was always like, okay, it needs to be perfect, then it's good enough, right? So I really had to work through that. And now I'm like, I literally just sent an email. Well, I wrote it last week and it came out today. And I read my own email and was like, oh, there are a couple of spelling mistakes. Oh, well, cool. Just move on. But it's such a big shift. And also the other one with Lisa that you said, so my calendar looked crazy. I would start working like 3 a.m. sometimes when I was still in corporate, because I also had like my full-time studies. So my calendar was to the minute scheduled from 3 a.m. to like 9 p.m. with everything. So I wouldn't take breaks. I would just study for 3 hours in the morning. Then I would get ready for work, go to work, do my, not 9 to 5, it was more like 10 hours, 12 hours. Then I would come back home, would study again. Yeah, so my schedule was so packed with just work. I couldn't take a break. But as you say, like the best business model is really if you bet on sustainability. And I learned that through burning out, obviously because of my schedule. That was just crazy. But also with the other workload and stuff. So that really taught me to always book my own quality time first. And now it's just like, oh, I actually have energy to do the things I love. And it's not as overwhelming anymore, but still sometimes, definitely one of my pet peeves is if there's something like a launch upcoming, like for example, with the book release, right? I'm like, okay, I could spend literally every single minute of every day of every waking hour just on this book release to make it even better, to plan something else, to add something else. And I really have to hold myself back and be like, no, the most important thing is that you have the energy to be at your best whilst you're doing it, not burn yourself out. And then when you finally release the book, you're like, oh, fuck that. I'm never doing that again. It was exhausting.
And the thing is that if you don't do it for yourself, your body will force you to do it. Because you will get to burnout, whatever burnout looks like for you in your body and in your mind, it will happen. So if you don't protect yourself, you don't put those little breaks in, the smallest things, and it's also space from your business. If you're too close to it all of the time, it's so hard to see the direction you need to go in. Whereas if you have space, if you allow yourself creativity in different ways, oh, that will benefit you so, so much. And again, like, yeah, if you have this launch that you work so much towards and all of this stuff, by the time that it actually comes out, you resent the thing that you've been launching because it's taken up your entire capacity for the past however many months. So just go into it really intentionally and just be honest with yourself. Like, don't put too much on your plate because, like I said, your body will tell you you've got to stop right now, and that is not a nice position to be in.
Absolutely. And I love that you say taking space from your business. One of my favorite activities is literally to just take some time off and be completely offline and just do whatever else I want to do, whether that is journaling, meditating, just being outside, going to the gym, spending time with my boyfriend, cuddling my cats until they're so annoyed of me that they just scratch me to pieces. Whatever it is that just like makes me happy in that moment. And then I come back and I'm like, oh, actually, this is not really important anymore. Maybe I can just change or make it simpler. But really taking that space is so important and so vital. What is your favorite activity, Bex, to like maybe take space from business or to just help have a bit more like sustainability?
Well, as we were saying, I've just become a National Trust member, so yes. Mid-30s. No, I absolutely love the gym. The gym is my safe haven. It's my place. It's just somewhere that I just love to go. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not always motivated to go and do a heavy session, but I love weight training. I love getting outside in nature, going for walks. I do my meditations every day just to really help calm the mind because like you, Josie, I hit burnout probably twice whilst building, well, maybe more, like whilst building my business because, again, I was working full time. I was also studying. I love doing all of the things. I've not just got one business, I've got two. And we've got now, obviously, our incredible podcast. So it's really important that you don't forget who you are because you are not your business. Even though it's a massive part of your life and your personality and who you are shines through your business, you are not your business. And I think that's something that I've really had to lean in and take away because I remember last year I spent so much time in the business trying to do all of the things around a full-time job. And I'll be honest, my relationship took a little bit of a hit, not in the sense that anything was wrong, the fact that I wasn't spending quality time with my partner. We weren't doing things at the weekend because I was working, I was coaching, I was creating all of the things. And I think it's really important to understand that you need to remember why you're doing it. You're doing it for a freedom lifestyle. You're doing it to help other women overcome whatever it is that you specialize in. You're creating a life on your terms. Now, if you're in your business constantly, you're becoming available for something you don't want. And that is something that I learned very quickly, right? And then I think when I allowed myself to come away and step away and just remember what I enjoy to do and how I can, release. I work with energy healers like Lisa, and we're in the same type of world with things like that. I think it's important to do that type of work. And like Lisa said, create the space, come away, because you will hit a block and your creativity skills will be non-existent if you are not allowing that time in.
That is very true. What do you feel like, because we're kind of like getting to the end of the episode, would be if you could, okay, and how do you phrase that? If you could wave your magic wand and help every human being on this planet with one thing that they start doing or being from now on, what would that be?
Wow, that is a very powerful.
Yeah.
I think for me, it would be mind freedom. And when I say that, I mean free from the pain, the trauma, and having that inner knowing and confidence that you can do, be, or have anything you want. That would be mine.
I love that.
For me, at first, that's what came up, but then something else came up, so this was meant to be. For me, it's take messy action. Like I would, if I didn't take messy action at the start of my business, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I see it in so many clients, and it, like, we let so many things hold us back. Like you said, it doesn't have to be perfect. If anything, those imperfections make people love you more, because you are human. We are all human in this space, and we love that. We love hearing from people that have lived experiences. And to take messy action and just go for it. Just fucking go for it. Like, literally, it's so exciting. And the more you do it, the more you flex that muscle, the more you can go bigger and bigger. And like, you just grow into this person that can take on anything. And then you're truly like listening to your intuition, and you're reacting in the moment, and you're like embracing all of the beautiful steps in life. And then it gets to the point that it just speeds the whole process up. Like the amount of entrepreneurs that I've spoken to, that it was like 6 months of them going back and forth before they launched their first offer, or before they even set up their business, because of all those things. So to have those ability to shut down those limiting beliefs and that negative self-talk, and just the ability to take action, there is so much power in that.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And mine would be really similar. It would be just absolute self-trust, just going for it, really trusting yourself, and knowing that even if it's super messy, even like if shit just constantly hits the fan, to still have like this 100% like self-trust that, like, yeah, it's shit right now, but let's just push a little bit further, because there will also be like some light at the end of this shitty tunnel. That's something I feel like I would wish for so many, because what pains me like so much, and that's also why I'm like a coach, is seeing dreams die. And I don't want that for anyone, because, oh gosh, when you hear people talk about their dreams and they light up, and then they shut it down because they don't trust they can do it, it's like, oh my gosh, my heart, it hurts so bad. So that would be mine. I would want everybody to just fully trust themselves, go for it, and take a risk, take a bet on themselves. Amen. 3 TED Talks in one. Right. So as I said at the beginning, I would want to do a little fire round of questions. So I will ask you 5 questions, and you already decided you want to answer the same questions, right? And you can answer them with, best would be just 1 word or a very short sentence.
That's a challenge in itself for us, but okay.
Don't you worry, like, it's fine to fail this challenge. You're allowed to, you have permission to fail. Right. Okay, so this first question I got to ask one after the other anyway. What is the Becs way of living and leading your best life?
Gosh, that is really a question I've got so many answers for, but it's sweet. Ask me again, Josie.
What is the Becs way of living and leading your best life?
I want to say just pure alignment. Like, if you are so aligned to the work that you do, and you've got this inner passion, it can't not work.
That's very good. Lisa, how about you?
Similar, but being true to yourself.
When shit hits the fan, what do you tell yourself to get through it?
What do I tell myself? I always tell myself that pain is temporary.
Yes.
But if I can adapt that in the gym, then I can adapt it in my for sure.
Yes, I was just about to ask that. That's specifically also for the gym, right?
For me, and I feel so firmly about this, I've done it before, I can do it again. Do not underestimate your ability to make shit happen.
That's so good. What is your key habit for success?
Discipline. I think.
Same.
Yeah, I think you have to develop discipline, and you have to set yourself a command and discipline yourself enough to follow it through.
Oh, this one's harder for me. For me, it's being intuition led, like really connecting to self, to listen to yourself, because our inner knowing is so powerful and so strong. It really does guide you in the right places.
Oh, it really does. What is your favorite book that you would recommend to everyone?
Oh, this is easy. Change Paradigm, Change Your Life by Bob Proctor. He's my absolute song hero.
See, for me, I am not a book person, which I used to not like about myself, but now I'm just having the realization I'm a podcast person, podcast person. Like, just it hits home more for me. That is the modality that works for me. And at the moment, my favorite podcast is Big Fish with Spencer Matthews. The guests he has on and the things they explore, I found so beneficial, especially in business.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one. I need to check it out. Big
It's
Fish.
very, very good. Mm-hmm.
Okay, last question. If you couldn't do what you do right now, what job would you have in an alternate universe?
I would be I'd work for Walt Disney drawing. That was one of my childhood dreams that I wanted to be, because I used to love to draw. I don't know why I stopped, to be honest. And I always worked for Walt Disney. So there you go.
I love that.
Yes, you knew that so quickly as well, and I didn't know that about you. I like that question. For me, I have no bloody idea. I know what it's not.
Corporate.
What is it? Oh, like it would be something travel related. Let's be honest. Actually, no, I do know this is a curveball, but I haven't thought about it in a while. I am obsessed and love festivals. And when I was younger, I always thought it'd be really because I'm also a very organized person, I would love to host the event of a festival. That would be so much fun, I think.
Oh, is this maybe like the Kickstarter of the Ignite Your Spark Festival?
Don't tempt us, we will.
Oh, do that.
I could see that. All about mindset. You have yoga, you have breathwork sessions. There you go.
The Retreat of Dreams. It's a festival retreat hybrid. Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Amazing. I would be, just to throw mine into, I would do something with food. Probably like a donut connoisseur, chocolate connoisseur, or expert, or like vegan,
like a sommelier for donuts,
traveler, something like that, where I can just eat all the good food, and then the other times I spend in the gym to burn all the calories again.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, right? It's not too bad. You can eat for free, you get paid to eat, and then you just go to the gym. Thank you both so much for joining me today. This was really fun and I really liked it. And I kind of feel like maybe I should have more guests come on more often, because it's very different for me than to just fully focus on one person, but to have like two amazing powerhouses with me. That's very different. I feel very honored that you both took some time out of your day-to-day to be here with me.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for having us. We loved having you on our podcast. So it's a hell yes from us to join you on yours.
Thank you very much. On that note, where can people find you and also listen to your podcast?
So our podcast is called Ignite Your Spark. It's on all the streaming platforms, so just give it a search and you'll be able to find it. But if you search igniteyourspark.podcast on Instagram, you'll be able to find us, and we'll put all of the latest episodes and everything that we have to offer at the moment on there. And then if you want to find a bit more out about Becs or I, then we're both linked on that account as well, so you can do some digging if you so wish.
And I also will put, of course, all the links into the description box down below for easy access. So you can just go there and check those two lovely ladies out and show them some love. I highly recommend showing them loads of love. And with that, I see you all next week again on Monday with a new episode. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, are you ready for this, girls? Right. This is when you know you've hit middle age. So Rico and I we are now members of National Trust.
People always tell me this, and they always start it with that disclaimer, like, I'm at that stage in my life where I want to go walk around lovely estates in the UK.